What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mason Church's second training in Masters of Business. We're going to be going over something that everybody wants to go over, which is sales objections. As much as we want to pre-handle objections before they actually come up on sales calls, there will still be those times where we get those sales objections. So in terms of increasing your sales rate, if you want to do that, stick around with us for this training with Mason Church. Mason, I would throw it over to you to get this rocking and rolling, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll dive right in. You want to wait a minute, let people in, or do you just want to record this one?
Yeah, we're ready to rock, man.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. So I'd say really the objections, yeah, you nailed it right there. As far as like everyone wants to pre-handle and have some fancy way to prevent these things from coming up, but I'd rather bring, like a gun to the knife fight and know that I could handle it than show up unprepared and end up not actually having the skills to handle it when it does come up. Because even with the best objection prevention skills I've seen, we still have conditioned buyers' responses where we just say things like, oh, I need to think about it. This isn't the way I make decisions. I need to talk to my partner, et cetera. Like some of these are just jerk responses, usually rooted into fear, rooted in past identities. So what I've kind of boiled down is 5 clear steps on how to kind of dismantle, just from a high level, any objection, a process and a flow that we can loop through and repeat through consistently to be able to get somebody from no back to yes. So what I'll do, I'm just going to pull up my screen here really quick. One sec. This will share with you this outline. Good old tech. There we go. Sweet. Can you see this okay?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Beautiful. So pretty much before we even get into the 5 steps that I've used to convert over 4 million in sales and personally close over 500 high ticket deals, just want to kind of give the categories of how these things actually show up, because one objection is not the same as another objection, but they all can fall into buckets. There's thousands of variations of the words of how they're actually said, but at the end of the day, no matter what someone says, it's going to fall into one or more of these 3 buckets, which is 1 is logistics, 2 is fear/uncertainty, and 3 is a smokescreen. So logistics is literally something logistical that needs to happen on that person's end to be able to make the deal move forward, whether that's moving money from checkings to savings, whether they need to go sell something off, timing wise, they don't have the time to put it in right now. So maybe we need to help them, bonus them an extra month in the program. There's some sort of time or money logistic that in their mind is holding them from moving forward today, right? That's not to say they don't believe in the program. That's not to say that they don't want to do it, but there's some sort of logistical concern. Logistics are my favorite because they're honestly the easiest. It's literally just our job to be an engineer and help them engineer and solve and logistics their situation to be able to get to their outcome. It's our responsibility to help them iron out and smooth out those logistics, and definitely not theirs. The second one is fear and uncertainty. In later trainings, I'm really going to unpack this more, because over the years, I've come to realize that there's many more layers to fear and uncertainty, and then it's not just one big thing. There's kind of subcategories that branch out within it. But at the highest level here, fear and uncertainty is a huge common objection. And the last one, our all favorite smokescreen, which is really just a bunch of bullshit, usually coming in the form of a shotgun grenade of, sounds like a lot of money, the timing's not really good, my parents are dying, and I'm taking a vacation next week. It all just vomits out at once. So you don't know what to actually handle, and you have a shield of a smokescreen, right? These are kind of the 3 categories that I've seen. Now, the common ways that they actually show up, think about it, sleep on it, pray on it. That's not the way I make decisions. I've always told you're supposed to sleep on it for a night. Like all these kind of justifications. I need to chat with my partner, wife, business partner. Oh, it's just not the right time. Oh, it's a lot of money. I don't have my card on me. That's my favorite one. Like my dog ate it. Or like something like a vacation coming up. All it is no. It just means no. That's it. Like this is all fancy fluff. It's literally just a no. So Our job is to dismantle that effectively, calmly, and help turn that no to a yes, to empower that person in front of you to move forward with the program or the service if it's actually going to get them to their goals. So before we get into like the actual high level outline and strategy of how to handle objections, I want to go over some of the most common just mistakes. Because when we're looking at how we want to get to our outcome, sometimes it's good to look at how to like what we don't want to do and what we don't want to happen so we can avoid that and have clarity of what we do want to do. So some of the most common issues I see reviewing, hundreds of calls, my own calls, other reps calls. First thing, biggest thing is speeding up the cadence, a shift in tonality, a shift in demeanor and body language. The second a first objection comes up, if you watch a sales call, and Andrew, I'm pretty sure you've probably seen this. When a new rep has an objection, what happens to their body language and what happens to their tonality, would you say?
Their eyes get big and they start to stutter a little bit.
Yeah, right. So from an unconscious level, almost like NLP, it's like if your energy, your cadence, and your tonality shifts during objection handling, unconsciously you're communicating to the person in front of you that something is wrong, that there's red flags all over the place, that there's something that's just not sitting congruently for that prospect, and their defense is actually going to go up as well. So one of the biggest things I had to do in the very beginning, and even this last year start to master, is I used to speed up during objections. I used to get kind of nervous in the beginning, and my tonality, my cadence, my body language would go into fight or flight. So we want to do the opposite of that. So just to invert that first mistake is to stay cool, calm, and collected, even if you don't know what the fuck to say. Even if you didn't know any idea of what to say, if you could just slow down your pace, maintain control, still ask good questions, stay calm, cool, collected, you're going to be light years ahead of most reps whose tonality is going up right away. And ultimately they're losing status as a leader because they're coming into this fight or flight state. Does that kind of make sense? You with me on that?
100%.
Okay. The second biggest mistake is people pleasing and a lack of willingness to sit in discomfort and ask tough questions. So if that's something you struggle with, guys or gals, I know we have some new gals in MOB, which love that. There's a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And that really dives into people pleasing and kind of dismantling that mindset. Usually when people are not willing to ask tough questions or sit in discomfort, it's rooted in people pleasing. So the opposite of that, to invert that, would be, I want you to actually, when you see pressure, when you see discomfort, I want you to go for that, because that is actually where the sale is going to be made. That's where the real conversation starts. The third common pitfall, just being needy and not willing to detach from the sale, right? Putting yourself first and your needs first over that person. And it's felt as kind of like a sales commission breath vibe. Now, the inverse of this is focusing on actually helping that person in front of you align with the actions that correspond to the identity of who they are becoming and who they truly want to step into, who they say they want to step into, right? And if you can focus on what actions does that person take versus, hey, buy my fucking program, you're actually asking that human to become that person. And naturally, as a byproduct, as a precipitate of that kind of chemical reaction, the outcome is going to be that they will take the actions. So we focus actually away from the action of buying and focus towards the action of the commitment towards changing into that identity, right? So move it away from the money and move it towards commitment and the identity of who they actually want to become, right? So in a sense, some of the best sales calls I've had over the years, when I look back, I watch these calls, what I've noticed is sometimes I was chasing the money, hey, let's just do a down payment. At some point in the conversation, I just say, fuck it, dude, money aside, do you actually want to do this? Do you want to become that person? Are you committed to become that person? And get them realigned, right? Connected to that higher self. And naturally, the actions that will follow are the actions of that person. But if you just pressure into the money, they're going to feel like you're only there for a commission, which in a sense you really are if that's how you're operating. Any questions on that so far? Just checking in.
That's really good, especially sitting in the discomfort, because those things are going to pop up. And if we just sit in it, expect it, sit in it, our conversion rate goes way up. And one thing
Yeah.
that I would add, Mason, if you don't mind, is that one phrasing that I really love that stuck with me. I forget where I learned it, but no doesn't mean no. It just means I need more information.
Yeah.
So I expect a no towards the end, and I just look at it as them needing more information,
Hmm.
and also tapping into curiosity. So I'm sure you're
Absolutely.
going to get into that with what's coming up and the questions to go into when objections come up. But curiosity and no doesn't mean no, it just means I need more information.
Yeah. It's like Grant Cardone always said, if they say no, then they just don't KNOW enough. They don't know enough yet.
Mm,
And that was his classic that I heard when I first got into sales, like 4 or 5 years ago, listening to his audio tapes on in my car.
that's
Uh,
really good.
yeah, if they say no, they just don't KNOW enough from Uncle G. So yeah, exactly. There's just some piece missing, and it's up to us to take responsibility to help them integrate it and actually help them make the best decision. Help them make the best decision. I didn't say help them buy the program. Help them make the best decision and get clarity on what's that missing gap and actually come to a conclusion as a team, whether this is the best decision, yes or no. That way they can actually have clarity. That's the best gift you can give that person. Even if they ended up saying no, if they're actually clear and you actually serve them, hell yeah, you did your job, buddy. So kind of just moving on from that, I'd say there's 5 key steps at the highest level that I've seen to success in objection handling. And this first one, I cannot overemphasize. This skill alone has made me tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is being able to disarm and normalize. And just like if you were a boxer and someone throws a punch, you know how to like duck out of the way. It's not really something you think about. I always want to have these preloaded phrases of, yeah, that's not a problem. With the first objection I hear, either think about it, partner, wrong time, whatever. It's just default auto response. Yeah, that's not a problem, man. Like, can totally appreciate that. Oh, that's easy stuff. Because what are I would ask you, Andrew, like if you were on the phone with a typical sales rep and you threw up an objection, what is the response you're expecting?
From another sales rep, I want them to be cool, calm, and collected, and
That's what you
empathize.
want.
Yeah, and
That's what
empathize
you want. But what is like for an average sales rep, what do you feel is the response you'd actually get if
in
you were to give them an objection?
instant friction. You
There
can
we
really
go.
feel it in their energy, and
For a C player, right? It's going to be friction. It's going to feel combative. So we want to be able to go the opposite of that and allow this person to breathe. Because if we don't and we create that friction, it's immediately going to put somebody into fight or flight. The second they're in fight or flight, you're no longer having a conversation, and all these other steps below it doesn't really matter. You could say the right things, you could have the right tonality, but if that person's triggered, you're no longer actually in connection and communication. Right? You're no longer in connection and communication. So the first thing I want to do is like normalize. Like if someone says they're scared, they say it's a lot of money. Oh yeah, I mean I can totally appreciate that. I mean, like the reason you came on this call was to make more money. So like the fact that that's a lot, I mean, I can totally get where you're coming from. Like that's totally cool. They say I need to think about it with my partner. Oh yeah, I mean, I have a partner as well. Like totally appreciate it. Like that's immediately pulling the pressure out of the air, the tension out of the air, so that we can have a conversation and they don't feel like they have to run off of the phone. Okay. After that, we need to very quickly basically push that to the side and get back to our hook point, which is our tie down around certainty. And this hook point is the lever that is going to give us the permission and the leverage to push forward in the conversation and actually handle the concern. Without this hook point, it's like it's just like if you had a huge lever and you're pushing on the wrong end of the lever where you don't have the leverage, it's going to be a pain in the ass to actually get it to tip. But if you go to the other side and you have that long lever arm, you just push it. Now you have power in the conversation. That's what this tie down is. And what that would look like, they say, I need to think about it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Like before you do go and think about it, like that aside, do you feel that this can get you to XYZ goal? They say yes. Well, they should say yes. If they don't, we can go over that later. They're going to say yes. And immediately I'm going to interrupt. Our brain is either going to look for two things: reasons to move forward or reasons to stay exactly where we are. So I want to direct this person's brain towards reinforcing reasons to move forward. So the reason I interrupt is because if someone says yes to that question, the next thing coming around the corner, if I don't interrupt, is a big, hairy but. Yeah, it sounds like it would really get me there, but it's coming. I know it's coming. So we're going to get ahead of that curve and just interrupt. Okay, so John, I mean, like thinking about it, all that aside, I mean, that's cool. Before you do go and think about it, do you feel this can really get you there? Like, do you feel like this can get you to your goals? Yeah. Okay. Well, why do you feel like it? Why though? Like, what is it about what we went over today that makes you feel this can get you to XYZ? Now they're going to actually elaborate. And this is where they start to sell themselves and get certainty that what you have is going to get them to their goals. If we do not have this, think of this as the concrete foundation for a building. If you don't have this poured down properly and solidified, nothing after actually matters at all. Okay, so each one of these steps is a domino that really does correspond and connect to one another, and each one is contingent upon the previous falling down. So at that point, I'm listening for their response of them explaining, them selling themselves on the program and why they feel like it's going to be a fit. A few things I don't want from that is for them to tell me, hey, yeah, you know, that, well, it sounds good because there's a ton of testimonials. That's actually a terrible response. And it's a really common one. What I want to hear is have them specifically tell me what from my program and what we've offered is actually going to solve their problems. Not just, oh, there's other people having success, because that's not actually a legit response. So we want to get beneath that and make sure we get to the roots. Once we've actually gotten the tie down that this is going to get them there, we've established permission to keep the conversation going forward and not be weird. Because if you ultimately believe and you've persuaded yourself that what I have can get you to your goals, to what you said you wanted, why it wouldn't make sense for us just to give up the conversation, would it? Because if that's what you actually want and you're committed to, why would we just end here? So essentially you just got the pass go. You got a chance to go around the Monopoly board again by getting this tie down and this bite point. From there, I want to expand and clarify the concern and actually pierce deeply into what's the root beneath it. We've gotten to disarm and normalize. We've gotten the tie down that they believe this can get them there. Now we can go a layer deeper and actually figure out what's beneath it. So what's kind of coming up for you that makes you want to X, just to see if I can actually help you with it? So like most common would be like, think about it. So I'd ask Andrew, like what's kind of coming up for you, Andrew, that makes you even want to think about it, just to see if I can help with it?
I was working on an acronym for this, so that's what I want to go back to. But
Yeah, we can do it.
after you connect me to my goal and how the program will help me get to my goal, what's coming up for me that makes me want to blank just to see if I can help you with it? Can you clarify that for me a little bit?
Yeah, so normally it's either going to be partner, think about it, or the first two things.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like 95% of the first objection in B2C sales of coaching programs,
Mm-hmm.
partner, think about it. That's the first thing that comes up
Mm-hmm.
almost every time. It's like, it's
Yeah.
not a shock. It's not a shocker. So I would, if you said I need to think about it, I'd be like, okay, like thinking about it aside, like totally hear you and you can do that. Do you feel this can get you to your goals? Okay, why? Like walk me through that. You're going to sell me on it. We have a hook point and a foundation. And then we're going to move into clarifying that, think about it. So what is kind of coming up for you that makes you even want to think about it, just to see if I can actually help?
Well, I think the systems inside the program are exactly what I need. I don't have systems in my program, and I just don't have the money in the bank account that I feel like I can afford your program right now.
Perfect. So we'll just pause. 95% of the time, that's where this is going. The first think about it, you literally go through this and you're going to get it pierced and you're going to get to money. And now we can go through the money conversation, which happy to expand further if you want to do another training on the actual, after we get through the first smoke screen of how to handle all these other objections. But this first piece of basically, as Cole Gordon would call it, like pacing the first objection is absolutely the most important. If you can't isolate it, you can't get the tie down, then the rest of the conversation, you're just chasing your tail. So I think for the, like just any rep, if, as long as they can tie down and just remember this basic piece, especially that step 2 and the step 3, they're already 95% of the way there. At that point, you know, we go into money. So I'd be like, okay, yeah, Andrew, I totally can appreciate that the money could be a concern, man, right? And it is a lot. And I mean, it's also that goal you mentioned, getting to 10K a month, 120K a year. That's a lot of money too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I want to compare it to something, get a reference point. So now it's back into like, it's not just the price, it's now been anchored back to what it's going to get them. Okay. And just for context, like the money aside, like you really, like, I know we kind of asked this, I just want to double check. You feel like this can get you there? Like this would get you what you need, right?
Yeah, I've seen the testimonials. I had a friend go through it, and
Mm-hmm.
I know it'll help me.
Okay. Yeah, no, the testimonials are good, man. We've helped a couple hundred people at this point. And aside from the testimonials, like what specific piece do you feel of this program would be the keys to the castle for you? Like, is it the Airtable systems? Is it the mentorship, or is it the community? Like what specifically do you feel like is actually going to get you to this next level?
I hear everybody talking about tracking, and I don't track any of my numbers. And I know that's going to be super important for me to grow and scale. And
Okay.
I see you guys have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So it sounds like that piece, the tracking is really, really important for you. So like tell me, if you did have the 10K in your hand, you know, for the investment, like would you do it? Would you go for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, for sure. So is it a case of you just don't have the full 10K due to bills and expenses and everything like life? Or is it a case maybe you have a part of it and you just need to break this up to make it easier, like just to see if I can actually help you?
Well, I'm just concerned because I've never really been good with money, and I've never even had 10K in my bank account.
Mhm.
And I, I'm I don't see how that's going to change.
Yeah. Pause for a second. So we just went from, we started at think about it. Then we went to money. I asked a question about the money. He deflected and went to fear and doubt, which is ultimately a little bit of uncertainty. We've gotten certainty that he feels the program would work for him, like that it has the right things, but there's like this uncertainty in him around his ability to transform. So there's fears of the program and there's fears of ourselves. Those are two different kinds of fears. The fear that he just expressed is actually a fear of himself. He doesn't think he can change. He's seen the testimonials. He knows the program's legit. He believes it has what he needs based off our conversation, but he's actually expressing a fear in himself. So that's usually, there's two things we need to handle here. Is like, one, I want to see if this guy, like, I'm going to build his confidence up to get him to take the actions, but we also should just see, does he have the funding to even invest in himself? Because like, let's say I build up all of his confidence and I get him pumped up to jump off the cliff. And then like logistically, he just doesn't have the money right now. We've just gone through, you know, a 10-minute pump up speech for a guy who physically couldn't jump off the cliff. Does that make sense, Andrew?
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Okay. Yeah, man, dude, I can totally appreciate that. Like you feel like things couldn't change. And I'd say, you know, 95% of our students felt the same exact way. Like that's super normal. I mean, especially given how long this has been going on for you. You know what I mean? So I guess before we kind of get into that though, like help me understand a little bit better. Like what type of funding do you have set aside to invest in yourself, if anything, just to see if we could even help you?
I don't have a very good credit score, and I've tried using PayPal credit in the past for other programs, and nothing has really worked for me.
Okay. I can totally hear where you're coming from. Do you know ballpark what your credit score is? Just curious.
It's 430.
Okay. So I'll pause here for a second.
Is that
There's
a
a
good credit score? I don't even know.
Yeah, that would be a really, really bad one. So there's objection handling, which we're doing right here, right now. And then there's someone who's just literally not qualified to do your program. So for the sake of this role play, let's have you be somebody who, let's say, has 2 grand in the bank and like a 620 score. So like that way it's actually feasible because no one can draw blood from a stone, meaning like if someone's dead broke, they could go sell a car, like we could get into this, but just the odds of getting that person to close is really going to be brutal. Like we can make it happen. And I'd imagine the type of leads you guys want to help your clients generate probably don't have a 400 score. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So back into it. I have a
Yeah.
job
So,
that pays me
I'll circle back. I'll circle back to, we got through the think about it, and what it led to was after I asked about the think about it and what's kind of coming up for you, it led to I've never had that kind of money and I just don't know if it's possible. So let's just give me that and let's work from there.
cool. Um, so I'm working in a job and I get paid about $5,000 a month. My expenses are about 3,500 a month, and I have about $2,000 in my bank account right now.
Okay. 100%, man. 100%. So like in that case, just curious though, because like I don't typically do this, but if I could get Andrew, if I could get him to let you in for a little bit less down so that you could at least get the systems going to actually start earning more and get out of your 9 to 5 with your coaching business. Like if I was willing to do that for you, would you be ready to move forward with this so that we can actually get you rocking, or how do you feel?
How how fast do you think I can make the investment back?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And I would ask, it depends what kind of effort do you feel like you're actually ready to put into it? Because this is kind of like going to the gym, right? Like if you go to the gym, you buy the membership, just because you have it doesn't mean you're getting a 6 pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like you're actually committed to do the work and be consistent and really show up for you and your future, or how do you feel? Because that's literally the most important thing.
There's no other way, man. It's been like this for way too long, and I, I'm just I'm just ready to make the change.
Okay. I hear you. I hear you for sure. Because what happens if you don't actually make the change and you stay in the 9 to 5 and you keep doing the same exact thing you have been? Like, what's that going to look like?
I just haven't been happy where I've been at for way too long.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I see so many other people just growing faster than me and
Yeah.
showing results online.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. And they're not, I've interviewed a lot of people and you're clearly sharp and articulate, buddy. But like the only difference between them and you, it's not that they're smarter. It's not that they're sharper. It's just they took the actions and got through that kind of fear and they went for it, even though they were all scared. So I'd ask, I mean, like if we can help you with the funding, because that's literally the easiest thing. Like I'm not really worried about that. If we can help you figure that out, like, do you feel like you're ready to rock and roll and really take that step so that you can make the change?
Yeah. So how much would it be?
Yeah. I mean, what we do is just get you rocking, do 1,500 down so you still have a little bit of savings left over. Okay. And then I can help you as far as how to finance the rest. That way you can start to get the skills and the systems to get your business up and start earning much, much, much quicker. Would that be an appropriate next step, or how would you like to proceed?
Do you think I can make the 1,500 back in the first month?
I mean, that's a fair question, man. I guess, can I ask in your own opinion though, like based off what we've gone through, do you feel it could work for you? Let's just check in on that for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. And like the truth is, man, it depends on what kind of effort you put into it, right? We've had other students do 10K, 15K. We had Hung, who's doing multiple millions of dollars a year, who was dead broke. The other side of this, though, is if you don't actually go for it, like how much do you feel you're leaving on the table every month without the right systems right now? Like how much potential revenue do you feel like you're losing every single month?
A lot.
Like
I'm
how much? Just even being conservative.
well, I'm not making anything right now.
Okay. And what do you think you're capable of? 10K, 20K, 100K?
I know I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that case, it sounds like you're possibly leaving 20, 30, 40 grand a month of opportunity on the table. So do you want to change that?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool, man. Let's get you rocking. I'll connect you to Andrew. He'll lay out the step-by-step game plan, and then we can really support you through it. Okay. And I'm here. I'm in your corner. I'm team. Whatever. I'm team Andrew. I know we got two Andrews right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's
So like
let's do it.
that came down to fear of himself being able to get the results. And when you're selling biz op or business growth, it's really common for people to ask you how quick they can earn. And that's actually a really bad question. It's a bad question because they're already thinking in a short-term mindset. They're not thinking like a successful entrepreneur would. Successful entrepreneurs think long-term and they take actions with long-term and delayed gratification. So if he would have kept pressing on that, I would have had to reframe like, yeah, man, I'm sure you could earn quick, but like, what type of entrepreneur do you feel is more successful? The one that's looking for the quick hit or the one who has a long-term vision and actually takes the actions no matter what the results are? Like, who's going to be more successful? And I'll paint that out. And then I'll be like, who do you want to be? Identity. So they can bucket themselves into the actions that I need them to be in to take the right actions to move forward, but also serve them. Because that question, that's actually like, I get that all the time. People are like, how quick can I earn? I'm like, dude, you're desperate. That's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah. That happens all the time in coaching offers for the
Oh
past.
yeah, that's all they want to know is how quick they can earn. It's like, well, dude, I don't know. I ate shit for the first year. I made 1,500, but I kept going. It's like, are you gonna like, let's say you get to month 3 and you haven't earned anything. Are you gonna give up or are you gonna move forward? Give them a binary. Are you gonna give up at that point or are you gonna keep moving forward? Oh, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Okay. So then let's get you rocking because it sounds like you're the kind of person who's going to persist no matter what. Like you're not the kind of person who's just going to roll over and quit, are you? Kind of challenge that mindset a little bit and dismantle it.
Mhm. That's a
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. But ultimately, like, just to recap, a disarmament, not a problem. Tie down and get the certainty. Get through that, clarify what's kind of coming up for you that makes you want to think about it. What's coming up for you that makes you want to hold off just to see if I can help. Then we can kind of realign to the vision and commitment. Like I was asking Andrew, like, are you ready to do the work? Are you committed to do the work? Is this important enough for you to do it now? Qualifying.
Yeah.
And
Can you add
naturally,
those things underneath that point?
yeah, those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really good role play. I feel like you did a great job in realigning the prospect um, and getting to the actual issue. Um, and what we're doing here is just getting down to the truth of it and allowing people to see themselves in the mirror. Like salespeople, enrollment specialists are doing a service here.
Are you committed to get XYZ? Are you willing to do the work? How important is it for you? Is this important enough for you to even take action? Like you're kind of challenging people's identity a little bit at that point of the identity of where they are versus the identity of who they want to be and the corresponding actions that those identities would take. Right. And then looping back and asking for the order again doesn't have to be rocket science. It can be like, cool, man. So would you like to move forward with this and make the change, or how are you feeling? You ready to roll? Like, what do you want to do?
Can you drop that underneath
Yep.
number 5 too?
Wonder why we'll reformat it later.
Cool.
Ready to rock and roll.
It was great.
Or sometimes no base questions as well are fun at that point. Would that be such a crazy idea? To actually invest in yourself, like a no base question, really powerful. From Eli, one of the things I've been using that's really a fun one as well is would you hate me if I challenged you enough? Take this step you, for your future, your family, whatever, etc. Like whatever are their drivers. So would you hate me, Andrew, if I actually challenge you to really go for it and just stop talking about it and go for it? I mean, for you, your future, and your family, like, would you hate me for that? Like, if I actually empowered you to take this first step? No, I know the no is coming. No one's gonna say they're gonna hate me, and the no means yes, right? As Eli taught me, it's like at that point, it's like, okay, so what do you need to do as the provider in the house? Tie into that identity. Like, what do you need to do as a provider, as a man, to actually become this 2.0 version of yourself? And I can tell you, it's probably not just thinking about it, wondering what if on the sidelines.
Love it.
So that'll get people rocking. That'll move the needle. That's for sure. I have a couple example videos as well of this kind of work being used that I'll tie in. So that'll be in the course. Audios of me using this live and real conversations so that all the students can actually study and take a look and kind of see it in real time. Because this is a framework, right? It's not a script. It's more of a framework. It's more of an understanding of what's actually happening in that objection handling flow.
And for everybody listening right now, Mason shot me over an example of one of these a couple weeks ago, I think it was. And it was fire. I think it was like a 15-minute.
I'll put that one in there.
Yeah, that was really fucking good. And then I started using some of those scripts, and they work really, really well.
Yeah. So for you, your future, your family, like, would you hate me if I challenged you to actually take those 2.0 steps, that 2.0 version of yourself for you, your future, and your family? Like, tie into those things that are most meaningful to people, because it's the emotion that's going to move them. And that comes back to a willingness to be in the discomfort of those emotions. And if that's something for you as a sales rep or a business owner that you're uncomfortable with doing, part of this is just going to be doing the inner work, like a lot of the stuff that we go over in Masters of Fate and Masters of Business, of understanding your values, understanding your beliefs, understanding your vision, being willing to do the breath work, the energy rituals. Because when you can tap into your own emotions and actually be vulnerable, soft, connected enough to understand your own, then you're going to be a heck of a lot more comfortable and willing to go into these uncomfortable places with others. In other words, you can't give somebody what you don't have, right? Because these steps are not rocket science. Being able to execute on it gets difficult because we have our own emotions and blocks that often prevent us from sitting in that discomfort. So like, if you guys haven't already looked at all the energy rituals and deep inner work that Andrew goes through, please take a look at that, because that's going to serve you in your sales conversations as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing for all the sales reps listening is invest into yourself. If you're not in a sales community right now, freaking do it. Because if you're doing quick yeses, it makes you so much more empowered to ask for the quick yes on the sales calls as well. And like, how much have you invested into your sales training over the last few years, Mason?
Probably 50 grand.
Exactly. And there's no doubt why you're the number one enrollment specialist at your company, because you've probably invested more than the rest of them and picked up those skill sets and learned from those sales communities, and you are being that person so you can do this on the sales calls and have those sweet commission checks. So
Yeah, be do have, baby, be do have.
one more thing I wanted to get into that I think is going to be super crucial for people that are selling biz op offers, coaching offers, that sort of stuff, is since there are so many coaching offers out there already, one big objection that they get is that, oh, I'm looking around. Oh, I'm going to talk to another company in like a week. So I don't know if you want to do a role play, do a high level of that, and then do a role play, or how you want to go about that. But I think that would be super helpful for
Yeah.
people watching this call.
Yeah. The whole like shopping around, especially when you're in biz op, like there's a lot of competitors. So like, that's something that's usually going to start to happen more upstream in discovery, when you're understanding like, hey, have they tried to fix this problem in the past? Like, what are they looking at right now? And you can kind of get them to openly admit if they're looking at other things and figure out what's prevented them from pulling the trigger on other offers. So there's a little bit of persuasion on that, as far as like, if I'm getting the sense that this person's like kind of wishy-washy, um they are shopping around, like in discovery, first off, I'd be like getting into like, oh, so like, if, are you out there looking for other ways, or like, what have you been looking at in order to try to solve XYZ so far? Oh, I looked at this company, I looked at this. Okay, and are you planning to look at others, or what's kind of your game plan, like kind of your strategy right now? Oh, okay, so you already looked at a few. And so like, what would you need to see in those to know it's the right thing? Because there's so many options. Like, what is it that you're looking for specifically in a biz op to know that it's actually the right thing? Just to see if we can even help you. So you can start to make sure that you line it up so that by the end, with your pitch that's tailored to what they specifically are looking for and their needs, it's just going to make so much sense that it, like, you can start to use analogies at the end of like, oh, I want to keep looking around. And it's kind of like dating at some point. Like, you just got to pick the partner that feels like, it's actually the right fit. 'Cause if you're always just looking, you're never going to have the commitment. You're never going to have the relationship. You're never going to have that future. So just being real, like, do you want to keep putting this off, or are you ready to draw a line in the sand and actually start getting it to work? So it's kind of like being willing to challenge people a little bit at the end.
Let's go into that where we're in discovery phase. You ask me if I've looked into any other solution.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So Andrew, I mean, before like chatting with us, I mean, it sounds like this systems thing has been going on. You mentioned about 3 or 4 years. So have you been out there like looking for ways to solve this, or working with any other coaches, or what have you actually been trying so far in order to actually make this change?
Yeah, I've joined some programs in the past, like Sam Ovens and Scaling with Systems, and I'm just looking for a better solution now. I'm in a different place in my life,
Mhm.
and I've had a couple of calls this week. They were pretty good, and then this is
Okay.
and I have a call coming up with clients and community on Friday.
Oh,
So
awesome, man. I'm glad you're the kind of dude. Glad you're doing your due diligence. That's super smart, man. You'd be surprised how many people just hop on one call and never actually do anything. But I guess I'm just curious with these other calls you've been on so far, like what do you feel actually prevented you from pulling the trigger? Because I know XYZ company and ABC company, like they're pretty solid too, honestly. So like, what do you feel prevented you from going for it?
I just want to see all my options right now. I'm super
Mhm.
clear on what I need,
Okay.
and I just want to make sure that I cross all the T's and dot all the I's and
Mhm.
talk to all the big programs in the space.
Okay. For sure, man. And like when you say you're clear on what you need, like what is it that you're looking for specifically?
So I definitely love what you guys do with the organic marketing, and I really love how like you've systemized everything.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'm really looking for that. And
Okay.
like you look at clients and communities results too. I'm sure
They've
you've
got great results too. So like real quick, just so I understand, why is the strategy that we have, this organic strategy, like why is that so important to you? Or like why does that actually resonate the most?
I mean I see Andrew showing up on organic all the time, and like that's super inspiring. And I've seen some of the testimonials, and those are
Mhm.
great. Um, like I really like the business mastery levels and like the artist and builder
Gotcha.
phase of building up
Okay.
organic first. I
That
see.
makes sense. Okay, that resonates. And like remind me, how long has this been an issue for you as far as like actually being able to have a system and organic marketing, or just marketing in general, to be able to get your coaching business off the ground?
Uh, I've been trying for the past 2 years. I had to take a job a year ago. I only stayed there 6 months. I got
So for you said 2 years though, you've been trying.
yeah,
Okay. So that's like 24 months and you're at zero in revenue right now currently, is that right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like, I guess provided what we go through here actually makes sense, like, are you ready to actually draw a line in the sand and commit to making the change so that you can, become this Andrew 2.0, or like, how do you feel? Because like, with all due respect, it probably doesn't make sense to just like go through all this if you're not actually ready to start making those changes. So I'm curious, just for you, man, like if it actually makes sense, like are you ready to do what it takes and take the leap, or how do you feel?
It's definitely time. Like I want
Okay,
to
well, why now though? Like, why not just kick the can down the road?
I want to start a family, and I want to support my girlfriend.
Okay,
I want to travel with her.
okay,
And I
I
don't
see.
go back into a job. So
Okay. You feel like right now you're able to do those things, support a family, travel with your girlfriend, or how do you feel?
no, definitely need more money in the bank.
And
Um,
like, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but after like 24 months of this, like, how does that actually make you feel knowing that you're not able to take those trips and you're not able to support a family yet the way you want to?
dude, shitty. I like go through these ups and downs and just wonder when
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna get there.
Okay. Okay. So like that totally makes sense, man. So I mean, we can pause the role play right there. Like, it's just essentially I needed to get to pain big enough, and I was starting to drive the knife right there, but we could drive it deeper. So that way, it doesn't really make sense for him to keep shopping around. Because like if we've gotten the commitment, we've gotten the pain big enough, like, and they actually believe that what we have lines up for them, it doesn't make sense for them to keep researching. At some point, they just got to take action. And the reason I asked how long is because I wanted to chunk that down and have him see in his mind how long this has been a problem so that he doesn't persist with this pattern of just researching.
Hmm. I love how you remain in control, but at the same time allow me to feel like I have control. Meaning like you pause what I'm saying, but then you ask another question, allowing me to feel like I'm in control answering your questions, but you're just leading me towards the outcome.
Yeah. And I'm going to interrupt for sure. Cause like anytime I interrupt with a why, it's because there's something that was said that I want to reinforce. And it's really important for that person to solidify that point to be able to improve their life. You know, you're
Hmm.
like, oh, I don't want to put this off any longer. Or like, you know, you said something along those lines. Or you said, oh, dude, well, I got to make a change. I'm like, well, why now? Like, why not just kick the can down the road like the unsuccessful people do? Vilify that identity. Like, why not just kick the can, you know, keep researching, you know, take 20 more calls with, you know, businesses and potential solutions like the unsuccessful people do. Like, why not just do that?
Yeah.
So you can vilify that behavior of just searching, right?
Yeah. And just going with the yeah, man, and boom into that question.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as you can get that gap big enough emotionally and get the commitment to change. The reason part of it too was like, you know, I was like, okay, he's got all these other things. I was like, what's prevented him from moving forward with those? I essentially asked, why us? If you're getting that objection commonly, or people are shopping around continuously, like we need to be a little more proactive in discovery about like, oh, there's a million ways to build a coaching business. So like, what was it about Andrew specifically that makes you feel that this could possibly be what you're really looking for? Like, why even consider Andrew over something? I don't know. Help me. Like, I'm skeptical. I'm
Hmm.
not saying I'm skeptical, but that's kind of my tonality. I'm like, why even consider Andrew? I mean, like, there's so many options. Like, what was it about him specifically that makes you want to have this call? Like, challenge that so they can reinforce in their mind what was it from your marketing? What was it from your content that actually made you stand out?
And that's a great question because it builds up confidence in the sales rep as well, hearing those things. I know
Yeah.
on some of my sales calls, somebody like there have been people that brought up trainings that I did like 2 years ago, and I'm like, damn, those are still working. Like that's going well. And then I have that little boost, and I'm like, yeah, I am a fucking good at what I do. That
Yeah.
question just amazing. Why us?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that should be super helpful. Um, if there's specific objections that you want to get into moving forward, drop them for me. I think doing some discussions on how to like specifically handle fear, because this framework will usually funnel down into there's really kind of two ways it goes typically. It's either like logistics, like they just don't have the money, or like the only thing it could really funnel down to if they don't just close is fear around spending the money and investing in themselves.
Hmm.
They're basically like this is kind of funneling to it's a clear train to an end outcome, which is like they're either going to have it and go for it, or they're going to have it and have some fear, or they're just broke, which we can't solve through objection handling. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. Um, that's not my job. I can get them to try to sell some shit maybe or get creative, but we want to avoid that as much as possible in the marketing process.
And I'm going to do a little bonus here. So I hope people are still around and still listening because this is super powerful. Um, one for actually, I'm going to have you do the one for the sales rep, but for the business owner, if you have a sales team, get the common objections that they're getting and then bake it into your marketing.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I was getting on the past few calls is that it's becoming the end of the year. People are like, oh, I'm going to wait until next year. So the first thing that I did was I created a post around building momentum at the end of the year. So you actually crush 2024 instead of
Yeah.
waiting until January 1st, where how many people have set New Year's resolutions and not actually stuck to them. This
Yeah.
is January 1st, this is the time to start. So that's just an example. And you will get far better sales calls if you're just taking the common objections and putting it out to social media around a story, putting it out to your email list, and the sales calls will be so much smoother. So
Yeah.
that's on the business owner side.
Totally.
But on the sales rep side, what do you do or what do you recommend that
Yeah,
sales?
it's like taking the standard like why now question, but then this time of year during November and December, I'm always like adding a little more context to the why now. And it's like, okay, Andrew, so it sounds like this has been going on for a few years, but like just so I can understand from your perspective, like why is this so important for you to like make a change now? Like why not just wait until after Thanksgiving or after the holidays, like most people would? Like the average people, like you can even add that in if you really want to put some spice on it. Like, why not just wait until after Thanksgiving, like the B players would, if you want to put a little spice on it. That why now contextualized around where we are in time at this time of year has them reinforce, oh, well, shit, I probably shouldn't wait till after the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm,
I
I'm
think
getting a why now that adds the context of where we actually are at this time of year.
And then, is there anything that you recommend the sales reps do if they're starting to hear super common objections? I recommended that they talk to the business owner, get it out to the marketplace, but is there something?
Yeah, I wish more high ticket teams had a little bit more feedback between marketing and and sales reps, like an end of week marketing form, like for sales reps to give feedback,
Mm-hmm.
uh, without it just sounding like pure bitching and complaining, just like some good like subjective and objective feedback, like a Google form that like they can fill out every Friday at the end of their sales week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've only seen a few companies do that. Most of the time, they just kind of do whatever, but they kind of ignore feedback from the sales side and vice versa. Like they're not really communicating.
Mm-hmm. Or an Airtable form.
Yeah,
So we can
exactly.
bake that into our business OS. So we can definitely talk about that on another call. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, use that.
yeah. So the communication between sales and marketing and yeah, if it's a salesperson, like you have, you're good at persuasion, you're good at influence, persuade and influence the marketing team to use what you have, what information you have to provide them, and tying it to they're gonna make more fucking money if they just take your feedback and your recommendations. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go talk with my business owner right now about adding some of the copy around not pushing off till the New Year's and not pushing off till Christmas and stuff like that.
yeah, we had our
Yeah,
best month in December last year just
I've
because
had some killer Decembers. Yeah, like it can be huge.
yeah, and starting with that messaging early, so you can
Yeah,
get objections before the calls start. So,
nice, man.
well,
Well,
dude,
beautiful.
this has been freaking amazing. I'm super stoked for your next training, and we'll get this uploaded to Masters of Business, and I'm also going to share it with Masters of Faith. This was fire. Uh,
Boom.
so, yeah, thank you so much, buddy.
All right. Have a good one.